In some states in America and other countries with legal capital punishment, there exists an interesting custom for criminals on death row, the infamous last meal. Convicted felons get the opportunity to select any food and drink of their choice within certain regulations on the eve of their execution. Here are the top 10 of the strangest last meals ever recorded. But before we jump into the video, make sure you have subscribed to our channel and turn the notifications on for more updates. Now, let's begin. Thomas J. Grasso was not the brightest of the bunch, and when Judgment Day came in 1995 for his 2 separate murders of elderly people in different states, his final meal request reflected his questionable life choices. He ordered a plethora of extravagant foods like 2 dozen steamed clams, a half a dozen barbecued ribs, a Burger King double cheeseburger, and 2 strawberry milkshakes alongside a can of SpaghettiOs to be served at room temperature. When Grasso's meal arrived, he got spaghetti and meatballs instead, a mistake he'd never forgive, as his final words were, "I didn't get my SpaghettiOs, I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this." I love this guy, man. To the last second, he regretted about the food and not about the execution. Convicted killer Peter J. Miniel could give Lawrence Russell Brewer a run for his money for one of the biggest orders ever served on death row in 2004. Miniel confessed to his crimes of murder and robbery and was ready to pay the price, but not before he gorged himself on this whopping order. He requested 20 beef tacos, 20 beef enchiladas, 2 double cheeseburgers, a pizza with jalapenos, fried chicken, spaghetti with salt, a modest dessert of half a chocolate cake and a half a vanilla cake, cookies and cream ice cream, caramel pecan fudge ice cream, and a small fruit cake. And to wash it all down, he also had 2 lots of Coke, Pepsi, root beer, and orange juice. Maybe he intended to explode Henry VIII style before facing the music. Later, he was executed by lethal injection on October 6, 2004 in Huntsville, Texas, for the robbery and murder of a 20-year-old man. As he was occupied with cleaning the mirror, Miniel came behind him and struck him on the back of the head with a beer mug, and he kept hitting him until he fell to the ground. This sweet God-fearing grandmother was notorious as a death row granny, as it transpired that the mysterious deaths of almost everyone in her life were part of a lethal string of deliberate poisonings. Velma Barfield was the first woman to put to death in the U.S. in 22 years, when she was executed by lethal injection in 1982, but not before she was granted one final meal. A cup of tea, a slice of coffee cake, or a fruit scone seems fitting for a grandma's last meal wish, right? But all Barfield really wanted was a packet of cheese doodles and a can of Coke. During her stay on death row, Barfield became a devout born-again Christian. While she had been a devout churchgoer all her life and had often attended revivals held by Rex Humbard and other evangelists, she later said she'd only been playing at being a Christian. Her last few years were spent ministering to prisoners, for which she received praise from Billy Graham. Barfield's involvement in Christian ministry was extensive to the point that an effort was made to obtain a commutation to life imprisonment. When you're ordering your final meal on death row, it's important to cover all bases, and why agonize over which takeaway to get when you can combine the lot? This is exactly what murderer Robert Alton Harris did in 1992 when he requested a 21-piece bucket of KFC, 2 large Domino pizzas alongside a 6-pack of Pepsi with ice cream, and a bag of jelly beans for dessert, and a packet of Camel cigarettes for good measure. His final words are what people remember him for. He said, "You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everybody dances with the Grim Reaper." Kind of prophetic for a seasoned criminal. Robert Alton Harris was executed April 21, 1992, in the gas chamber at San Quentin State Prison, the first execution in California in 25 years. Plenty of death row criminals have used their final meal as an opportunity to make smart choices, and Ronnie Lee Gardner was one of them. He was determined to make his sitting last as long as possible. His death sentence for murder came in 1985, but he faced the death penalty in 2010. He didn't go too overboard on his order of steak, lobster tail, apple pie with vanilla ice cream, and a 7-Up. But he also had another request, to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy while eating it. Surprisingly, Gardner got the permission to do so. With a combined runtime of more than 11 hours, this must have been the longest last meal ever. Ronnie Lee Gardner was executed by firing squad shortly after midnight on Friday. Seconds before the impact of bullets, Gardner's left thumb twitched against his forefinger. When his chest was pierced, he clenched his fist. When Philip Workman faced execution in 2007 for the murder of a policeman in 1982, his own gluttony was the last thing on Philip's mind when he requested his final meal. His final meal request was for a large vegetarian pizza to be given to a random homeless person, but prison officials refused to do so, and he ate nothing. In a surprising turnout, on the day of his death on May the 9th, homeless shelters in Tennessee received large amounts of vegetarian pizzas from people all over the country. So at least he did one good deed before his death. His final words were, "I prayed to the Lord Jesus Christ not to lay charge on my death to any man." About 2 minutes later, with his eyes closed as he gulped, somewhat nervously, Workman uttered a final statement, "I command my spirit into your hands, Lord Jesus Christ." DIAZ didn't order a last meal. He was served Wednesday's prison menu of a shredded turkey with taco seasoning, shredded cheese, rice, pinto beans, tortilla shells, apple crisp, and iced tea. DIAZ was sentenced to die for the murder of Joseph Nagy, a strip club manager who was shot with a silencer-equipped gun when DIAZ and 2 accomplices robbed the Velvet Swing Club on December 22, 1979. No one actually witnessed the shooting death of manager Joseph Nagy. Most of the patrons and employees have been confined to a restroom, and a dancer hiding under the bar didn't see who fired the shots which killed Nagy. The case remained unsolved for 4 years until 1983, when Nieves' girlfriend told police he was involved in the crimes. Angel Sammy Toro and Angel Nieves were charged with murder. A third man, Willie, was never identified, according to a summary of his case by the Florida Commission on Capital Crimes. His final words were, "The state of Florida is killing an innocent person. The state of Florida is committing a crime because I'm innocent. The death penalty is not only a form of vengeance, but also a cowardly act by humans. I'm sorry for what is happening to me and my family who have been put through this." Chandler's last meal was 2 salami sandwiches on white bread with mustard. He also asked for a peanut butter and grape jelly sandwich on white bread, but ate only half of it. He ordered an iced tea but drank coffee instead. Chandler was convicted and executed in 1994 of killing a 36-year-old Joan Rogers and her daughters, Christy and Michelle, who were 14 and 17, and dumping their bodies in Tampa Bay. The 3 were on their first vacation and making their way home to their small farming community of Wilshire, Ohio, after their Florida trip. Authorities concluded that the woman met Chandler on June the 1st in 1989, when they stopped and asked him for directions to their Tampa area hotel. Chandler, who has ties to Ohio, apparently sweet-talked the woman into going onto his boat. Police said once aboard, Chandler bound the victim's arms and legs, tied concrete blocks to ropes around their necks, and threw them overboard. Despite the concrete blocks, the bodies surfaced and were found days later, naked from the waist down. CONKLIN requested a filet mignon wrapped with bacon, deveined shrimp sautéed in garlic butter with lemon, baked potato with butter, sour cream, chives, and real bacon bits, corn on the cob, asparagus with hollandaise sauce, French bread with butter, goat cheese, cantaloupe, apple pie, vanilla bean ice cream, and iced tea. Prison officials said he ate the entire meal, cleaning 2 plates. He was executed by the state of Georgia by lethal injection. He was the 3rd murderer executed in Georgia in 2005, and the 29th murderer executed nationwide in 2005. Robert CONKLIN was convicted and sentenced for the death for the murder of his live-in boyfriend, George Crooks, who was an attorney. On March 28, 1984, a maintenance man employed at CONKLIN's apartment complex was collecting aluminum cans from a trash dumpster when he discovered dissected human body parts, knives, bloody bed linens, and a screwdriver, rope, credit cards, a wallet, and other papers belonging to George Crooks. When CONKLIN's apartment was searched, the bed linen was missing and the mattress was soaked in blood. The kitchen garbage disposal was jammed with internal organs. When questioned, CONKLIN said they were wrestling on the bed. CONKLIN admitted that he had stabbed his gay lover to death with a screwdriver and dismembering the remains. A book on human dissection was found on the floor of the bedroom. The convicted felon had one of the most bizarre last meal requests ever recorded. He was a former priest who was found guilty for fatally stabbing a man during an armed robbery in Texas in 1983. He was handed a death sentence, and when it came down to his final meal request in 1990, all he wanted was a lump of soil. Well, nowadays, people have theories almost for everything. Some people speculated that he wanted to chow down on the dirt, but others were skeptical. They thought he planned to perform a voodoo ritual, as the soil was the Rakunda type, associated with witchcraft. He waived his final appeals, but 4 U.S. Supreme Court justices decided there was serious doubt about Smith's mental competency to make such a decision. Under court rules, 4 votes are enough to order a formal review of the case. The justices were 1 vote shy of halting the execution, however, prompting Justice William J. Brennan Jr. to decry, "For the first time in recent memory, a man will be executed after the court has decided to hear his claim." As dirt was not on the list of foods permitted by prison regulations, the authority denied his request and served him a cup of yogurt instead, which, of course, is the only reasonable alternative. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like and let us know your favorite one in the comment section. Make sure to also subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to get updated on more cool videos like this one. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.